Welcome to part 3 of our Brand Clarity series. By now you should have a really good understanding of yourself and your business and a deeper understanding of your ideal customer. And today we're going to go through some methods for finding out where those two truths collide so that you can start to establish and build a really meaningful brand. Great brands are those that have a strong sense of identity. They're ones that mirror the hopes and aspirations of their customers. So with a clear understanding of yourself and a clear understanding of your customer, you can now look to uncover the bridge between the two. This is the part where you discover where you and your customers are alike. Where do your authentic qualities and beliefs as a business serve your ideal customers' hopes and aspirations? That's what you're looking to uncover. So the first step is to make sense of all this information that you've now got in front of you. And a really human-centric approach to that is to understand and categorize your information according to values and mindset. And that's where archetypes can be really helpful. If you think about any story that you've ever read or any film that you've ever watched, you'll notice that there's common characters that keep popping up. For example, the hero with the tormented past or the rebel who doesn't quite fit in. These story characters are instantly familiar to us because they're instinctual and they're part of a collective unconscious that we all have. The familiar characters are called archetypes and they were first discovered by psychiatrist Carl Jung. People trust what they know and they trust what they expect. So that means that the more you can anchor your brand behaviour into the beliefs that are already embedded within humanity for that character, the more trust you'll automatically establish. So for example, if you put forward a brand presence that says you're a rebel in your category, or you're a rebel in your industry, and that's where you've positioned yourself, then the more you can look, feel, act and behave and create an experience around that, the more trustworthy you will become. The skill you need most for this phase is the ability to really focus. It's really important because a lack of focus will lead to scattered thoughts and you won't develop any meaningful insights. So block out some time, go somewhere quiet and take some time to really focus on the information in front of you and dig deeper and really form connections in your mind. I don't recommend doing this with a group of people. You want 1 or 2 people max, and oftentimes it's best to do it alone or get a couple of people to do it alone and start to try and form some connections. You can always go back to your group later once you've had some focus time to bring everything together, and you can go back to your group for more development if required. The goal for this stage is to really define and synthesize all of the information and data that you've gathered to date. And a useful activity for this is just affinity mapping. The concept of that is just grouping similar ideas together. It's that simple. Things like common themes, values, characteristics, and beliefs. You just want to grab a bunch of Post-it notes. You could even take photos of the activities that you've done prior and then pop those Post-it notes off and use those insights, the things you've written down prior. And basically you want to do one affinity map for yourself and one for your customer and start to form connections first. So grouping them together will help steer you towards your archetype and that of your customer, and it will provide you the clarity you need to position your brand in a meaningful way and start creating the future that you want. So do it for yourself first, then for your customer, form those common themes, and then what you want to do is find out the commonalities between the two. What are the common mindsets, beliefs? Here are my tips for keeping some focus in this phase. The first one would be to think of different ways that things can be grouped. It's not always what you first see. There might be commonalities that are obvious, but there might be some that are not so obvious. So spend some time shuffling and find different insights and possible connections. Second tip would be use your intuition and remember past conversations you've had and experiences along the way during the first 2 stages. So you might have had an interview with a customer and they might have had some body language that formed some insights for you. Remember those things. Remember some things your team have brought up and jot them down. Reading between the lines like that's really, really helpful in this phase. And the third thing would be creative and see if you can look at something in more ways than one. Once you've uncovered the connection between you and your audience and you understand where your brand needs to be positioned in order to fulfill those needs, then you're ready to move on with getting that brand strategy on paper.